Hello, my name is Nigel Cross of Execute Software, and today I'm going to show you some of the cool features in the ImageEn imaging library. My agenda today, I'll quickly talk about me and then describe the features in ImageEn. My first project, I will try to create an imaging application in less than 5 minutes, which will allow you to browse and edit images and add annotations. Then I have a couple of general demos which show some of the threading features in Delphi. Unfortunately, you need at least XE7 for these. TTask allows you to run a task in a background thread so it doesn't block your main UI. TParallel 4 allows you to run tasks in multiple threads to speed up their processing. So I first became interested in programming when I was around 12. Started writing basic programs for a ZX Spectrum. But actually at university I pursued business, and it wasn't until the mid-90s that I became interested in programming again. My brother introduced me to Delphi 3 and I was hooked. I started writing my own software and I released this as shareware. Soon the shareware was doing better than my real job, so of course I threw in my job and have been doing shareware full time ever since. As part of that development, we have contributed code over the years to the ImageEn project, and in 2011 we were in conversations with the developers and we learned that they were interested in finding a partner to share the workload, and we were interested in a new direction. So we took it on, and since then we've been doing ImageEn. You may hear people say that Delphi is declining in popularity. Well, since 2011 our sales have increased year on year, so if it is declining in popularity, we're yet to see it. So what is ImageEn? It's an image library for Delphi and C Builder. It has essentially every imaging feature you can imagine, but almost every application can benefit from an image library. Even if you don't need advanced editing features, you probably want to support a loading of all image types and display of images and what have you. It's certainly the most complete Delphi imaging library that we know of, and it's almost all native code apart from some object stuff for performance. So, of course, it supports essentially any image format you can throw at it, and this includes loading of its metadata. It has many built-in dialogues. Here's an open dialogue, and for display, of course, zooming, quality filters, and here are transition effects. We support image text and vector layers. These allow you to build complex images. We have over 100 built-in shapes, as you can see here. Here's brush tools. There's effects, image effects and editing is built in. You can either use our built-in dialogues or you can edit yourself in code, using code. Chroma key removal, acquisition, video support, thumbnails, printing, etc. And finally, I'll just tell you about ImageEn, which is an add-on for ImageEn. This is a vehicle that allows us to bring popular open source libraries and make them more readily accessible to Delphi users. They add support for OCR, barcode recognition, facial recognition, image patching, blob counting, image searching and classification, photo stitching and tracking, etc. So, firstly, we have many demos available, over 100, in fact there's around 200 available on our webpage, and they are already compiled, so you can run them straight from our demo if you want to see any of the, run them straight from our page if you want to see any of the features. We also have a trial available for download. This is also available via Get It in Delphi itself. So our webpage is ImageEn.com. You can also email me at nigel@execute.com. So let's get started. So I'm going to attempt to create an image browsing and editing application in less than 5 minutes. The application will show thumbnails of all the images in a particular folder. It will show a preview of any image you click, full size. And I'm also included some of my favorite editing features: interactive cropping, perspective adjustment, clone brush tool, and finally some advanced layer features: image, shape, polygon and text layers that allow you to build a complex image. Okay, let's get started. As you can see, I've got a blank application already ready to go. Nothing suspicious there. So firstly, I'm going to add a TImageEn enview. So an enview allows you to, as a control, that allows you to see all the images in a folder or a database or in a multi-frame image format such as GIF, TIFF, AVI, what have you. And I'm going to use a descendant, which is called a folder enview, that displays, specifically has features for displaying images in a folder. Nice and wide. Align it to the left. Let's make that left. That's better. About that wide. And the only feature only property I'm going to change is the folder. Just use my test folder here. Great. Next I'm going to add a panel. Later we're going to put some buttons on that. Align that to the right. And get rid of the caption. Great. And final control for now. TImageEn enview. This is a control that displays a single image. Our units. Okay, and for our enview, I'm just going to set a zoom filter, and these are a whole lot of filters that allow you to improve the quality of an image when it's zoomed. And I like fast linear, which is a good compromise between speed and quality. And one other property, I'm going to shrink large images to display size. Great. And we're just going to need a little bit of code, less than 5 lines. So that's our image display component, and we have a class called proc, which handles all image editing, analysis, and those kind of tasks, including undo and redo. I'm just going to bump up the undo limit to 30, which allows 30 levels of undo and redo. And the only other thing I'm going to do, I'm going to see one of our global properties. Later when we add layer shapes, I want it to default to the stylized female shape. And finally, when we select an image, I want it to display in our ImageEn view. So we have a class here called IO, which handles all loading and saving, printing, acquisition, those kind of tasks. So just load from file, and actually ImageEn supports almost any image format you want to throw at it. In this case, we're just going to pass the image file name of the image parameter that was selected, the IDX parameter I should say, and I'll clear our undo stack. And because we're going to create a layer application later, just going to make the background layer not selectable to make it easier for us to edit layers we add. So you can see ImageEn View has a list of all the layers, and that's a property of the layer selectable, which is we've disabled. Great, I think that's ready for our first run. Did I forget? I forgot the file name. Was that correct there? And layers. Sorry, it's better. Bring it over to the right screen. There we go. And as you can see, we have a browsing application already. Close that up. Right, now to add some editing features. The quickest way to add functionality to an ImageEn application is to use our action classes. We've got over 200 of these. So let's add an action list. And action. Okay. Okay, first we're going to do our crop tools and our clone tool. Our layer properties dialog. Our shapes. Which layers? Sorry, our layers. Text layer. And polyline layer. And the last one we want is undo and redo. That's all we need there. And the only properties we need to set is we need to specify which image in view they're going to affect. And for our layers, we'll allow editing, which is not only can we add layers, we can also resize them and rotate them, etc. Great, I think we're good there. Now I'm going to need some buttons for all those. 10 by my count. Okay. Let's whiten all those. And assign our actions. This is going to be our crop tool. Our clone tool. These will add layers and image layer. shape layer, text layer, polyline layer, and layer properties. And last two, undo, redo. And there we have it, basic image browsing and editing application. So let's try out some features. And here we have our application. Okay, let's see some tools. So we have a number of brushes available in ImageEn. One I quite like is clone brushing, which is used for sort of quick erase. Let's say we want to get rid of this unsightly structure on the top of Big Ben. Actually, I like to. Better selection would have been just here, I think. Better source of blue. There we go. Lovely. Lovely. And we can use our undo tool to get rid of all that. And go back to our current state. Right. And let me show you another tool, which is our cropping tool. So this is interactive cropping. The style we can change, but this is the standard. Okay. Select it. What we want to keep. And crop it to our selection. There you go. Nice cheesy grin. Yeah, I don't know. We could have gone a bit closer and a little bit of rotation would have been nice. Great. Select that. Ah, lovely. Lovely. But there's another kind of crop available, which is perspective cropping. So let's just change the crop mode to perspective. And let's try that again. Let's take Big Ben here. Unfortunately, it's a low quality image, which is not ideal. But let's select image, and this time now we can adjust the corners here. Just bring them in parallel to the sides, and just water select is what we're going to keep. So there you go. That looks about right. Crop. There you go. Nice and straight. Not quite as sharp as we'd like because, like I said, low quality image. Great. Okay. Next I'm just going to show some layer features. So, like I said earlier, layers allow you to build a complex image. You can add a whole different selection of layers, and they can be moved and resized as you would like. So, for example, we'll take an image layer. Where do we want to go? We want to go here. And by default, it pops up a little dialog. Let's just select an image. There you go. Resize as we like. I haven't turned on aspect ratio locking here, which we could have done. And how about a shape layer? As you recall, I made it default to a female, stylized female figure there. Let's add some people. Some text. And finally a polyline, which you just basically draw it as you'd like to. There you go, and that's set to close. It becomes a polygon. Now let's change some properties. Our polygon here, our properties, a lot of stylize options here. Fatten that border a bit. Add on a gradient. Change the colors a little. It's pretty garish. And we can make it semi-opaque as well. I want the properties for that. Bump up the text size. And let's give a border and a fill. Ellipse. Okay. Let's do an editing example. First into that, a little bit better. Great. Border. There we go. Delete that. There we go, and probably make more sense to these people down here on the ground. And of course, we have undo and redo available. There we have it, and of course we can save it. We can save that to a layer format, Photoshop ImageEn format, or we can flatten those layers to a JPEG or any other image format you would like. There you go. There's just a few of the features of ImageEn. Thank you. Okay, next I'm going to talk about some more general Delphi features. These were added in XE7 and they allow you to make use of threading to improve your applications, mainly TTask, which allows you to perform a task in a background thread without locking your main application UI, and Parallel 4, which allows you to speed up processing by using multiple cores. This is a variation of a presentation I saw done by Danny Wind, but I've modified it to show image processing. Thanks, Danny. Okay, so I've already added some controls to this application. I have a scroll bar up here that just moves back and forth to show you that the UI is active or whether it's locked, and a whole bunch of ImageEn views that are going to show our images as they are processed, a few buttons and a file. Okay, now I haven't added my core code here, but I put some basic code in. I created an array of ImageEn views, fill a basic file name, and pop up the standard ImageEn imaging dialog to fill the file name. And here's our timer that makes our scroll bar go back and forth. Right. Okay, so let's get started here. First, let's handle the processing for just doing normal non-threaded processing. I'm just going to paste in some code here that I prepared earlier. Here's our normal test. Okay, so we pass an ImageEn view. Now here we create a TIE bitmap. Now this is ImageEn's variation of a T bitmap. but it has much more advanced features. You can read pretty much any image format. It allows you to do caching to file, so you can handle really big file images, and other features like image editing and what have you, printing. Right, so here we created our BMP, and then we read the file name, past file name, and then 5 times we do a rotate. Now point rotates are obviously a lot more CPU intensive than a 90-degree rotate, so it's going to be a little bit slow. And then finally we resize it to the size of the control it's going to go into, and we put a smoothing filter, fast linear. And true here just ensures that we keep the original aspect ratio, it doesn't look all stretched. We assign the image to our ImageEn view, output some text, and we free it. Okay, so what I'm going to do here, first I'm going to blank all our ImageEn views in case we've done something already. Fingers. Great. And then we're going to perform our tests. Normal test. Pass an ImageEn view, our file name, great. Right, let's try that out. Okay, these are fairly large images, so it might take a little while. And you can see that as it's processing, our scroll bar has stopped because it's got locked up. Locked up with the processing. There we go. Right. Now, we're just going to modify this so it can be done in a thread. Now, this is much easier than you would imagine. Okay, so let's create an event handler for that. Let's blank our images again. And this time we're going to create a task test. Same parameters. Okay, and all we need to do is call the class method TTask.run and put our anonymous method in here, procedure. Begin. Normal test. Pass our IE view and our file name. Great. And So here we need to run that for each of our images as well. And it's not a normal test, it's a task test. And there we mostly have it. So instead of running our normal test directly, we create a TTask. We don't create a test, we run an anonymous procedure of the normal test. So only one little thing we need to change, and that is we need to be careful that our application doesn't directly call the main UI thread without synchronizing. So I've got to add another parameter here, threaded. Are we threaded? And if we're threaded, then we need to synchronize. Okay. So all we need to do here is to thread synchronize, and again we pass an anonymous method procedure. Begin. And we can put the same code into it as this. Change our text. Okay, that looks correct. Let's copy our new parameter and ensure that we're passing that parameter. That one's threaded. And that one is not. Great, I think that's all we need. So let's run that. And what have I done here? P.thread. Oh, I forgot a begin. That would help. And when you are testing your thread applications, it's always important to not run under the debugger because it will affect the outcome, affect the processing. Okay, so let's try that again. So we do a standard normal load. The UI has locked, as you can see by the scroll bar, and it's basically nothing's happening until it's finished. And now let's do a test with using threads. As you can see, the scroll bar is still going, and boom, we're done without it upsetting the UI. Now, the thing you may have noticed here is that it actually processed a lot faster using TTask. TTask is not necessarily designed to make your processing faster. That's what Parallel is for, TParallel. But in effect, it actually does. So I actually have another version of the demo here where I have put a system stopwatch in. So let's do a standard load, see how long it takes. We're all locked up for just over 10 seconds. Now this has got 4 cores, so let's see what we get when we do a TTask run. There you go. 2.8 seconds. So yeah, it was almost 1/4 of the time, and the UI was not locked in any way. Okay, there we have it. Okay, finally I'm going to talk about another XE7 feature, TParallel 4. As mentioned, this allows you to process a task that you've broken up into using multiple cores to make it much faster. So let me just load that. I've completely created this demo, nothing to add any code this time. We just have a standard form here with a button for a standard for loop and a parallel for loop, a source of file name and some logging information. Okay, just walking through. So this is the task that we're going to run. BMP test. As I mentioned, TI bitmap is our version of a bitmap, more powerful version. We create it, and TImageEn proc is our class that allows you to edit, analyze, and other processing features of an image. And we just create it from our bitmap, which allows us to operate on that bitmap. So we read our file, our image, and we negative it, invert its colors, rotate 9 degrees, and then we resize it to half its size. And we use RF Lanczos quality filter, and that is a nice, good quality filter, one of the best. So that's the task we're going to run. Now our first button uses a standard for loop, and here's how we run our test. So max test is 50, so 50 times we just call BMP test. And as you can see, it's got we use a test stopwatch around it to record the time it takes to process. And here's the Parallel 4 version. It's essentially the same. It's not much more difficult. Instead of the standard for loop, we use a TParallel 4. And here we pass 3 parameters: our starting value, ending value, and an anonymous method. And the method is just to call BMP test. Calling the same code, and again we have a stopwatch around it to time it. So not much to see there. Let's give it a go. Now, as mentioned earlier, it's important not to run this on the debugger, otherwise it will upset your timings. Okay, here's how long it takes in the standard thread. Processing now. And there you go. It took 10.5 seconds to process the image 50 times. It's around a 2 megapixel image on a mid-range computer. Now we're going to run our variant using TParallel for loop. Oh, actually I ran it twice. Okay, don't double click. Right, here we go. So 20 times in parallel. Whoa. So that was significantly faster. So this is a 4-core machine, and it's pretty close to a quarter of the time. Let's run it again. There you go. As you can see, significantly faster if you can break your task up and run it in parallel. And going back to the code, if we compare, this is pretty simple code for any Delphi programmer. There's our standard for loop, and here's the TParallel 4 variation. So yes, if you can take advantage of the TParallel 4 to speed up your application, I highly recommend it. Okay, so that's really all I have for you today. Unfortunately, I'm not available for Q&A due to other commitments, but please feel free to email me at nigelexecute.com. Visit our webpage. We've got over 100 demos that are fully compiled. You can just run them straight from our webpage. We also have a trial edition of ImageEn available, and that's in Delphi if you use Get It, or you can download it from our webpage, www.imageen.com. Thanks for your time today.